How about we apply it to our own community? That's all I'm saying.
Sorry, I was just
me.
looking at
We
that
can't,
comment.
and we can't tell women
I
to
need to
leave
change my
marriages. We can't.
No, it's me too. It's all of us probably.
Me too. Me too.
Wait, it's three of y'all. Where
Not
y'all been
me.
It's
at?
three hours.
And the funny part about it is
Let me
only
just
men
tell
notice
you,
that.
this
Only
is how
men
you do
notice
it.
that.
See, the fire department, I'll call them out and they'll do it for me. But I just called them out not too long ago, and I didn't want to call them back to back.
I don't know. I could. I'm gonna call him tomorrow. Then.
Why is there something that only men notice? Because like women can like hear
I
it,
can
not
tune
tune
it
it
out.
out, but like
No,
men,
that sound is.
Yeah, I don't know.
I want to say something really controversial here.
Go ahead.
I think men are not held accountable for running away from those relationships the way they used to be.
Thank you.
Bingo.
I agree.
They're not, because before we used to have shotgun weddings where the dad and uncles and cousins would drag this man to the altar to marry this woman so that she did not have her child out of wedlock.
I think that should be.
If you were not showing up and providing and being an active member in your family, there were men banging at your door, holding you accountable.
Yeah.
I think that era is gone. And now we've switched to now all of a sudden, maybe not in reality, maybe sometimes, but at least on social media, the conversation is always the woman opened her legs.
Yep.
The woman did not protect her womb.
Yep.
The woman did not. We put so much onus on the woman. And not to say that men are not held accountable for certain things, but at least in this arena, they get a lot of leeway that they did not used to get. They didn't used to have this much leeway.
When I looked at the Census Bureau, I find that's probably more so in our community.
Yeah.
Because when I looked at the Census Bureau, and because I was looking at, divided by race, who had the most out of wedlock. And while we do have the most, absolutely, I noticed that what happens is what they do is they count each kid that's out of wedlock. So you'll see it says 72% of children are born out of wedlock. It means if she has multiple kids, they're adding those kids as well. But what I've noticed is the difference, and it even stated this as the difference, is usually if they have one kid out of wedlock, they have married after that kid. So the next few kids are no longer out of wedlock. So I wouldn't say that that's just gone away. Maybe they'll call it a shotgun wedding. But I think in some other cultures, when you get a woman pregnant, the expectation is you're going to marry this chick, and they follow through with that.
Yeah,
I agree. They're out of wedlock. Their kids being born out of wedlock is not as high as ours because they get it, and it's like, okay, man up.
Yeah, no, I think. Sorry, Gina. I just want to say that's so true. There was a friend of mine where she was pregnant, and the boyfriend, they didn't want to be with her anymore just because he just wasn't happy. And the mom, he came from a single mom. The mom told her, just get over it, move on. He doesn't want you. Like, simple as that. Like, get over it. Goodbye. You know how many women enable Black men, and enable their sons, enable their nephews to just be single fathers, or, you don't got to be with that woman. You ain't got to put up with that. If we want to bring back shaming women for getting pregnant, then we need to bring back knocking at that man door that knocked up the girl and getting those shotgun weddings. Because I bet a lot of men will probably be more careful shooting at the club and getting women pregnant and creating all these broken homes if he had to marry.
But B. Taylor, I think unless that man is your husband, you cannot hold a man accountable.
Then what
it
men
has to be another man that holds
your husband either. The truth is once you become an adult,
and
the only person that you can control is you. So even in a marriage, sometimes you deal with situations where you want your partner to do X, Y, and Z, and they don't. You can't force it. You know what I'm saying?
I'm not talking about forcing
people in general.
But I'm not talking about forcing anybody. I think there's a difference between holding somebody accountable and forcing somebody to do something. I think as women, as long as that man is not your father, your brother, your uncle, maybe, because that's kind of a blurry line, or your husband, you can't hold that man accountable. You have no authority to hold that man accountable. It takes a man that he respects to hold him accountable. And I think men are not doing that to each other the way that they did in previous generations. Now men want to wash their hands up. I'm not going to tell another man what to do.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not, you know, this is not my business. That's y'all's relationship, right? I think the onus of what community used to look like and the way that other men used to step up and hold men accountable and say, you need to do what's right. Otherwise, there's going to be consequences, because that's what accountability is. That's not happening anymore.
Do you think that's in our community?
Definitely. I think that there's a narrative. Like, let me just tell you this, and this is what irks me about this YouTube space. You can't, on one hand, sit here and preach how it's a bad look for men to be married because of whatever reason, but then get mad when you have a kid out of wedlock. Because if you're not getting married, that means if you're having sex, you're gonna have a kid out of wedlock. Because at the end of the day, if you're scared about alimony, the percentage of Black women who are getting alimony is very, very small. But the percentage of Black women who are having kids out of wedlock,
that wasn't meant for us.
Right. Alimony is not our issue. Our issue is having kids out of wedlock.
Yeah.
And you're only going to tackle that by getting married. So you can have men sitting here saying, oh, they're not going to ever get married because it doesn't favor men. But at the same sense, you having kids?
Yeah.
Oh, guess what? They're going to be born out of wedlock.
I'll use a perfect example how this is our community. It was a guy I went to school with. He was biracial, Black and white, and he got his white girlfriend pregnant, and her family came in and swooped in, and her father sat him down, and they were like, look, we'll get you a job, we'll get you all of this, but you need to marry my daughter. We are not going to bring in no basically bastard babies into this family. And they were like, basically they got to his family and they all sat down and had a mediation, like, y'all need to get married, we'll support them, we'll support the wedding, it needs to just be a little wedding. And they had their own family business, they had wealth, therefore they got him on to the business. They brought him in so he can be a better man for their daughter.
Set him up for success.
Set him up for success because they did not want their daughter to be pregnant by just anybody. So they didn't condemn him. They just said, we're going to make you step up. And guess what? He was basically forced to marry this woman.
How long
But I will say,
last? Like, if you're forcing somebody to marry somebody because they got them pregnant, like, how long does that actually last? I get
it lasted. They had a few more kids, and I'm not gonna lie, they definitely did get divorced after.
Okay.
You know what really works?
Now she's the mom of multiple kids.
Years after, but yeah.
You know what really works though? Closing your legs.
Nobody's doing that though. Everybody says that, but nobody's doing it.
100% of the time, closing your legs works. Okay.
In that scenario, it looked like the family sacrificed for the greater good. So, and also what I wanted to say before was, we can't go around telling women, hey, sacrifice your happiness. Don't sacrifice your happiness, leave, and expect men to marry their girlfriends who get pregnant, even if they don't truly love them. Like, you can't have both. You have to choose. Are we going to sacrifice our happiness for the greater good, or are we going to just do what we want because of happiness?
I want to address Torrance more. More of the story. Get a white chick. Let me tell you something. It took a white man stepping in to make that Black brother step up. So don't go there.
They getting white chicks. They have these listen, them kids being born out of wedlock too. I didn't see some white kids with Black babies. And like no ring.
You know what's crazy? You know what's crazy on the census? If you are a white woman that had a child by Black men, those children are counted as Black children. So when they say how many children are born a single, how many Black children, you got to look at the wording. How many Black children are born to single mothers? They're counting in the other races of women who had children with Black men because they count them as Black.
So I want to address the comment as well. The moral of the story should actually be hold other men accountable. Not marry a white woman.
I don't think
hold other Black men accountable.
But they're not. White men are holding them accountable. That's why they're upset.
But that's what I'm saying, right?
Child support. They hold them accountable when they enter their family.
But B. Taylor, that's exactly what I'm saying. Is we know the benefits of marriage. We know the benefits of a 2-parent household. We know the benefits of, you know, what it looks like to work in community like that. We know the benefits of what it looks like for parents to step up and support their children and we know that stuff, and we're still not doing it. So instead of amalgamating into a different community where they're doing that stuff, how about we apply it to our own community? That's all I'm saying.
Sorry, I was just looking at that comment.
And we can't tell women to leave marriages.
No, it's me too. It's all of us probably.
Me too.
Wait, it's 3 of y'all. What y'all mean?
And the funny part about it is
this is how you do it. See, the fire department, I'll call them out and they'll do it for me. But I just called them out not too long ago, and I didn't want to call them back to back. So.
I don't know. I could. I'm gonna call them tomorrow. Then.
Why is there something that only men notice? Because like women can like hear it, not tune it out, but like
that sound is annoying to me.
Like,
once it starts dinging,
with y'all. Wait, Lapeep, you gonna have to clip this part. Why is it 3 women that need batteries changed?
Okay. That just started chirping like last week. Don't do it. And I called the firemen out 2 weeks ago. I can't call them back to back.
That is so funny. That's so funny to me.